Nice. It's a bit flat, the ale.
It's nice. It is a flat. It is a flat.
It is a flat.
It reminds me of... It reminds me of a taste that I've never tasted before.
Oh.
Makes me feel like I'm in America.
Ooh.
At a bar in Wisconsin.
Does it remind you of root beer?
Yeah, it makes me think this must be what root beer and Jack Daniels taste like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead it's co-op ginger ale and a monkey shoulder, which is pretty good whiskey.
But that's highbrow, lowbrow for you. Well, sort of.
And it meets in the middle and makes a yum, 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 yum.
Pretty good.
What are you saying? Monkey shoulder isn't that highbrow?
I'm saying that just in case, because it probably isn't.
Someone's going to go, ha! You thought monkey shoulder was a highbrow, you fucking idiot.
It's just a few more pounds more expensive than...
I'd say it's at least 10 pounds more expensive.
Which for us is highbrow, but some
that's a
people
big
spend
amount.
Fucking shitloads on whiskey.
But I did think when we went to Swift the other day, they had monkey shoulder on the shelf, which...
Well, there you go.
obviously means we have a good taste. You just have to taste me when I'm kissing you. I don't actually know if that's what the words are.
It can't be that. When he's kissing you or when she's kissing you.
You'll just have to taste me when he's kissing you. What did I say? When I'm kissing you?
Yeah.
That's what I think Sabrina Carpenter would be singing to me. A woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. You all right?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay. Drinking whiskey reminds me of one of our first dates. Well, our day 3 of our first date.
Day 3 on the Daisies date. It's quite a lot of
Day 3 in a love pad.
Love pad. Day 3 in the love pad.
The Daisies are drinking whiskey and watching Mamma Mia.
4:44 AM. The Daisies are now dancing to ABBA.
The Daisies have told each other their whole life stories and they are almost about to say I love you even though they've only just met.
5 years later. That's SpongeBob voice.
So it reminds me of that night when we watched Mamma Mia together for the first time, which is very fitting because we went to ABBA Voyage at the weekend. But you'll have to sign up to the Patreon if you want to hear about how that was.
Yeah, good segue.
You can go to, what's the Patreon?
Patreon.com/doingthemafs.
There you go.
We've had some new patrons.
The link should be in the show notes.
It should be. Whoever, yeah, I never know if it's going to be.
It should be, hopefully.
I hope so. But people have been signing up, so get in on it. I also saw we have over 50. No, we have not over. We have exactly 50 posts on the Patreon.
Ooh.
So that's at least 45 entire episodes, bonus episodes.
Juicy load.
And you can listen to all of them.
That's a lot to get stuck
on the
into.
Paters.
The Paters?
Yeah. Peter Patter. Peter Piper.
Oh.
I forgot to say
What?
that when I just did 5 years later,
Yeah.
which is the one's from SpongeBob. I used to love watching. Why'd you say it like that? Why'd you look like that?
What do you mean it's from SpongeBob?
So it's like a meme, but it's
Okay.
people use
did it
it.
happen often in SpongeBob?
Yes. One moment later, a few seconds later, and it's like, I guess, I don't know what's that voice, like a pirate, French pirate, I think is
Was
the
there
implication.
a French lobster or something?
There isn't a French lobster. There's Mr. Krabs. Are you thinking of Mr. Krabs?
Is he French?
No, he's
Am I
talks like
thinking
this.
of-
He kind of sounds like that as well.
Is the lobster in The Little Mermaid French?
Oh, wait, I don't know. I think so. Was he Sebastian?
Or it's the candlestick. Sorry. Wait, but no, I think the lobster might be. I think Sebastian might be
French.
Yeah, Sebastian is French.
Surely.
But I'm trying to think of it. Under the sea. Oh no.
Yeah.
Is he Caribbean?
Oh wait, but the Caribbean was colonised. Loads of it was colonised by France.
Oh.
So is there like a
so
French
maybe there was a
lilt?
nuance of ear that I had as a 3-year-old. I can't remember. I really want to know, but I don't want to carry on singing that because I accidentally sang it in a Caribbean accent and that didn't feel good. But he sings that song, doesn't he? Anyway, how did we get here?
Well, I was talking about
Sorry,
SpongeBob
SpongeBob.
SquarePants. which I used to love watching. It was so good.
No,
And
you did.
I've now decided I'd quite like to watch it again. Brittany Broski had Katia. No, not the other one, Trixie Mattel.
Oh, I thought you meant M. Clarkson's sister. I was like, what the fuck?
What is going on? Not M. Clarkson's sister, Katia.
Katia.
Do you know how to say Katia, the drag queen's surname?
Katia Zhuvlovich.
Yeah, okay, cool.
No, and I can never remember if she's actually Russian or just decided that she wants to be Russian. She's not. She had her on. She had her on. I want to see that.
Katia on. Yeah, you would like. No, fuck, not Katia. The other one, Trixie. She had Trixie.
Yeah, but
on.
no one ever has Katia on because Katia is too much of a liability. Love
too
her.
scatty and
addicted to things.
Bless her.
So she had Trixie on.
Because they're friends apparently, because they used to live really close to each other. But it's quite interesting. Oh God, I could go in. I'm just going to go into it. Why not? It's a podcast. People listen to us talk. That's what I'm going to do.
Trixie Mattel is who we're talking about.
Yeah, Trixie was on Royal Court, which is
Brittany Broski's
one of her like TV shows and or YouTube shows. Suddenly, like, why am I even talking about it? And they basically we were talking about how much they both love SpongeBob. And they were both like, what's your favourite SpongeBob episode?
And they've both got really good sense of humour. So.
Yeah, and they both like really in-depth know SpongeBob.
I want to be friends with them.
SpongeBob on the PlayStation. The SpongeBob game on the PlayStation. And in any PlayStation game I had, I wouldn't get past level 4. So it was like the Harry Potter... Oh, sorry. Triggered.
Name that cannot be said. I'm just flexing how much of a non-Harry Potter person I am.
So my 3 games that I had on the PlayStation 2. Oh no, I think it was on the PlayStation.
It would have been 2.
2, okay. Well, I had Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I had Guitar Hero, iToy. Did you ever have iToy?
What the hell is that?
Where it had like a webcam and you did things.
That sounds like a Wii U thing.
It is like a Wii U thing, but it was like the original Wii U thing. And it was really cool. And you'd clean windows and it would play When I'm Cleaning Windows. It was really bad. Any other iToy users in the house? And then I basically, all of my video games are like, because my mum was strict, surely. Chicken Little from the movie Chicken Little.
There's lots of nice games that you could have got which are actually good and a bit hard.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. Chicken Little from the game, Chicken Little from the film, Chicken Little, whatever that is.
Games.
SpongeBob, Harry Potter, one of them. Sorry, everyone.
I think Harry Potter games are meant to be like...
I don't think it was very good. But that's only because I could never get past level 4. But I remember on Chicken... I really struggled with Chicken Little.
I guess you didn't have a boy in the house to like...
That's sexism. What you've just said there is really sexist. I'm Italian. I'm Scottish Italian.
Chicken Little sounds quite good.
No, it wasn't good. I know it wasn't a good game.
Spyro? Did you have Spyro?
No.
See, you could have had that like, lovely animated dragon.
Okay, well, can you just have a quick talk about the Scottish Italian thing that you watched?
Oh my God. Well, because
I just got a text about this, but I want to know more now.
We were in London this weekend. I was staying in the log cabin in my granny's garden, which is where we have to stay when we go to London, because it's in Kent, which is near enough to London, but still we have to get a taxi from hers to the station and then blah, 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 blah. Anyway,
we're not that privileged.
It feels quite remote.
It is remote. There isn't any fucking internet at the moment.
It's in the woods. Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Hence why the last episode didn't upload on YouTube, because I left it on overnight and it had done 65% in the morning. And we were in a rush. We were on our way to a wedding.
That was not ideal.
It wasn't ideal.
So there's no internet, no phone signal, and the TV is about as big as this glass.
Yeah.
And only has like 3 channels, and if you close the curtain too aggressively, then the aerial goes off.
It hits the wire and it says, "Now TV signal. Do you want to refresh in 4, 3, 2, 1?"
So I got extremely obsessed with Patience. I found a card game book because you left earlier than me, so I had a few nights there on my own.
Yeah. As I came home, I had the Nintendo Switch.
Oh my God.
I was playing Animal Crossing.
Shit, you're equivalent of Chicken Little. On my wonderful console. Only ever used it for Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'm like, give Pikmin a try. Don't like it. Want to play Animal Crossing. Too much peril in Pikmin.
Too much peril. So I was on my own.
Tried Zelda. Hated that too.
Found the card game book. tried out all these different variations of patience, which I am itching to have a further go at, I must say. But a lot of them needed 2 packs. We only had 1, which is a shame.
And it was that shit gift pack of cards as well, wasn't it?
They've all been taken from that I got from Freshers Week. Isn't that mad?
And they're horrible because they're all black and white, aren't they? There's no red.
Yeah. So I had to scroll through like say yes to the dress, escape to the country, escape to the country from 2001, or Clive Myrie's Italian Adventures. So obviously,
it's literally only just dawned on me who Clive Myrie even is.
Yes, Mr. Mastermind.
Mr. Mastermind. Oh,
I mean, lovely. Lovely.
I was thinking it was that other one that's called Clive that kind of is a bit short and like this and has a bald head.
I don't know who you mean.
Clive. I don't know.
But
used to be on QI quite a lot.
It's lovely. With the great projection, Clive Myrie.
Yes, love him.
If I'd had the options of quite a lot of channels, I might have still chosen it, to be honest, but I'm using that as my excuse. I watched a lovely programme about a place called, I think it was called Bagga in Italy.
Yeah.
That is like full of Scottish Italian people.
Italian.
And they were. And he went round talking to all of them. He went round and talked to a man who was just playing the bagpipes into the Italian hills. In Bagga.
Yeah.
And lots of people just move there from Scotland because that's where all the Scottish people are, and they have fish and chips, but they're also Italian, and they all had the most amazing accents. I had a lovely time watching it. I mean, to be honest, I wanted to learn about Italians because we're going to Italy later, but it was still later.
When's the bus?
Later this year.
We need to book a home trip, actually. A home trip, otherwise we're going to end up bloody staying in Bagga. Maybe we should go to Bagga.
We might fall in love with
Bagga chips.
But it wasn't like an expat place. It didn't feel like that because it was like people who were...
Was it like Benidorm?
Scottish and Italian.
I do seem to remember the Scottish-Italian connection, and then it's interesting because of the Welsh-French connection.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing that there's all of these, and the Caribbean French connection to boot.
Yes.
No, there we are.
Indeed. What the hell? So
you're making me laugh like that today.
That's nice. So let's bring it back to a bit of telly. But
you didn't really tell me that much about Clive Myrie's adventures.
Okay, what else can I tell you?
There was a man playing bagpipes. They had fish and chips.
Yeah. It was a very, at one point, fairly wealthy town because of the rich red stone under the ground that was mined because they wanted to put it in all of the fancy buildings in Florence. They did put it in all the fancy buildings in Florence. So they went down an old mine, and Clive tapped off a bit of stone while this Scottish man was translating between him and this Italian man who was going, and he was tapping it off, and then he looked at it and he was like, oh, it's very interesting how it looks like a piece of lovely meat. And it really did. It had this white marbling through this red. It looked like some delicious meat you'd want to eat.
Like prosciutto.
And it's mainly just there. So, but now no one really minds it anymore.
Why would you not mine it anymore?
I don't know. And then they spoke to...
Not that mining is necessarily good.
In a lovely B&B run by this Italian Welsh woman, and then her husband... Italian Scottish. And then her husband ran the fish and chip place where they held a Scottish night, and they all came round, and the bagpiper was there piping, and they were all cheersing and having a merry old time. It was very lovely.
That sounds wicked.
It was mountainous, not coastal.
Well, I think Tuscany is.
Don't know.
I think it is. I seem to remember in my book...
Italy's quite skinny, isn't it? So you can't be that far to a bit of coast.
Sure. But so's the UK.
No.
I think the UK and Italy aren't that different in size.
Got you. Do you know
what I mean? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
It's longer and thinner though, isn't it? Italy's longer and thinner.
Yeah, I think so, but it can't be by much.
True. Maybe it's just compared to the look of...
big.
Listeners, I struggled with geography. Let it be known. Well, from one set of European lovers to another.
It's
Italian, isn't it?
Italian.
Is it in Italy, the masseria?
Yes.
Yeah. I should have said that then. From from one set of Italian lovers to another.
I'm not going to cut that. I'm going to keep the whole thing in. Yeah.
We don't usually do retakes. I kissed a boy. Final.
It's the finale.
We watched it separately, which is exciting because we don't know our reactions, and I almost texted you about it, but I didn't because I wanted to save it for the podcast.
What do I say then?
The Lars.
The Lars
thing.
I still think all the things I've thought previously, you know that Ruben knew he had to look like the good guy, and he did not think Lars was going to reject him.
Yeah.
And he ended up being like, oh, it's going to take me a while to get over this.
I felt a little bit like
I
that
didn't believe
as well.
him.
Like, I'm not sure he was actually upset, and him saying like, I'm going to need a minute was almost him being like, I need to work out how upset I'm supposed to be about this.
Oh.
And even then afterwards, when he was speaking to the camera, he was like, I'm just going to stay open to whatever comes in, whether it's Lars or someone else. It's like,
yeah, I know. I remember
if you
that.
were like a bit heartbroken, you wouldn't just be like, oh, well, I'll probably be back with Lars tomorrow.
I know. You would never say like, I'll be open to the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Lars probably did the right thing, but in the moment I was like, oh, is he self-sabotaging?
I'm a bit sad that they can't just like make it work or like try. Why is being exclusive such a scary thing? It's interesting that it's not just straight men who are so terrified of exclusivity. Is it just men in general? Because lesbians are famously not scared of exclusivity. What is it in... I don't want someone to come up with some fucking biological thing saying, well, the cavemen couldn't be because they didn't know if their spouse and children were going to die.
But we did get 2 exclusive couples.
Yeah, that's true.
Coming out of this. But I know what you mean. I just think it wasn't going to... I just think Ruben doesn't want to be exclusive with anyone.
And Lars also had problems with jealousy, and he thought Ruben was super hot and out of his league. So I'm like, you don't need to be going out with him either, because you don't need that kind of insecurity.
No.
Not that I think Lars is hot, and I do think Ruben fancied him, but I think there's just too much pressure around the end of this whole thing. And also maybe that's good because it makes the whole long, I don't know, it makes it shorter.
I guess they had to put some pressure on it to make there be a sense of drama, but it is a bit silly because I think we'll probably see in the reunion that like some people did maybe keep seeing each other a bit, some people didn't. So it makes it all a little bit pointless. It's basically just like Danny saying, you've got to be boyfriends now, even though they might not actually think that.
Yeah, especially because they've only known each other on holiday for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they're not ready to be boyfriends.
Unless you're us.
You would have been boyfriends.
We would have been boyfriends, yeah. I would have liked to see Ruben with someone like Aaron, who's like a big name on campus, like a beautiful, I mean, they're all beautiful, but someone who is kind of
he had
equally...
like a lot of like popular points because of the cheerleading. Is that what you mean? Like,
yes.
He had a community currency or something.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that Ruben, I mean, obviously it's just his type, but it's interesting that Ruben went for people who seem to be a bit more insecure, like Adam and Lars.
Yes. I don't even remember Ruben and Adam being together.
Well, they got paired, and then Ruben kind of did a very similar thing of like, no, I really am interested, but like he kind of wasn't, and Adam was like, oh my God, you're so hot.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously comfortable being in a position of being like, yes, I'm incredibly hot, and not feeling vulnerable and out of control.
Well, that's exactly what I think maybe we spoke about when people would say, your eyes are amazing to him because they are unbelievable. And then he'd be like, oh my God, yours are too. And it's like...
Yeah. I think that would have been more interesting. I would have liked to see him feeling out of his depth at some point, and he just wasn't.
He's just too good looking.
Yeah, but like he's not even compared to some of them. I mean, he is, but like there's other people who are just as striking. And so that's what I mean. He kind of got lucky in just being paired with, or I don't know. It probably was the right decision from Lars.
I think so too.
Aaron and Jazz I'm very happy about, but I was a little bit worried at times when Aaron's family were kind of saying like, just make sure that you're sure and you're not just.
Do you think that indicates that he's had this pattern happen before?
Yeah, it made me think of a pattern, and there's been like a slight simmering feeling the whole way that like Jazz was a little bit more into it. And
yeah. I mean, I never even thought that until there was one instance, wasn't there, where Aaron was like, was it about the exclusive or the boyfriend thing?
Aaron seemed interested in the new boy that came in that everyone fancied.
Oh,
I know.
That was quite shocking.
And then Jazz went off and had a little cry.
Yeah.
But I think they seem lovely. I just think I'm not 100% certain that it will run smoothly. Whereas with Callum and Jordan, I really actually do feel like they are going to have a good long relationship from
they
this.
seem really suited. Did you watch the like preview to the...
I didn't get to see it properly. I think I ran out of signal.
Okay, I won't say anything, but it's not about them in particular, actually. It's just interesting. But yeah, I promise you, because I know that I realise now that sounds like what I was implying, but it's not. How sweet was it with Jordan's dad?
Oh my
Jordan was so emotional and cute.
That was so lovely. And Callum was really sweet, like giving him a hug when he was crying about that, and they seemed like really, I don't know, like they were there for each other.
I also found it so cute when Callum was asking Jordan's dad about farming. Like that really showed how much he likes Jordan, to be like, I've heard you do farming, I'd be interested in that sounds really cool, maybe when I come visit I can milk a cow or something. I was like, oh my god, what, that's so cute.
Really,
he's really putting
cute.
in the effort and paying attention.
Yeah. And Jordan's dad was more like soft than I expected.
Yeah,
he was soppier than I expected. And when he said at the end, like, this is just giving you something that I couldn't, hasn't it? And
they both cried. That was absolutely wonderful and just so sweet. And like, what do you mean? Of course you can't give him everything.
Yeah.
But like, it's just very sweet that obviously he wanted to give him everything.
Yeah.
That he needed in life to like get on with, but you can't fake queer community. It was so, that just makes me think of the wedding that we were at on the weekend, and just how like amazing it was to just feel so
part of a community that you've built yourself. Yeah, so special. There was really lovely families actually in this episode.
Yeah, like Ruben's sister who like burst into tears when Lars didn't turn around.
She was really cute. Jazz and Aaron's families seemed absolutely lovely.
Yeah, I just find the idea of the party super cute, that they were all just together with their family.
It was cute, but I did feel again like, was Danny really there at the party at all, or did she just get like wheeled in at some point and be like
sexies boys,
hey, and then leave after 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And so Jack and Hugh, that was a bit awkward.
Jack turned.
I felt really sad about that, because they really made it seem like Jack was the one that was closed off, and Hugh.
I really
Rory?
don't know.
I don't know whether it's Hugh or Rory.
I don't think it's Rory. I think Rory was like the one in like the first 2 episodes, darling.
The Irish one with the mullet.
The other original Rory was Irish too, so I see where you're confused, but he was about 7 episodes ago.
I also realised that Hugh and Jack have reversed hair. Jack's hair was shaved all around the back with a long bit on the front, and Hugh's hair was shaved all around the back with the front with a long bit on the back, and it looked too funny for them to go out actually.
Yeah, it made me sad when Jack's friends were kind of like, you don't want to have the same situation happen again that's happened loads. I was kind of like, oh.
Well, actually, I thought that they were being quite nice, because they were
I
saying
thought they were being nice.
Don't let your past things hold you back.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. It was nice that they were encouraging him to go with his heart.
Yeah, but I think he'd already given too many no signals to Hugh.
Yeah.
And when I saw them all together with all their friends, I thought that's not going to work.
They make it so intense with the family and friends showing up.
Yeah.
Like too intense.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same as Love is Blind where they're actually going to get married. Like,
Yeah, so if they're not at that stage yet and it's being thrust upon them,
yeah.
it's a bit much, isn't it?
Thrust upon them. So we'll watch the reunion.
Yeah, we'll update you on that.
Find the answers when that happens.
A little advert popped up on Netflix today saying queer ultimatum coming soon.
Oh my god, it's at the end. It must be this. It's this month.
I'm so excited. We've been waiting
It
for
must
this
be
for
like
fucking 2
soon.
years.
It must be like in a week or two.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. Why are we on Netflix? Because you were watching Fred and Rose West.
Yeah.
A British horror story or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Okay.
I really go through phases with true crime
Me
where
too.
I'm into it and then I'm like, whoa, I need to not have any true crime content in my life.
I actually, when I said
all.
Me Too, I don't know why I
You
said
don't-
Me Too, because
you're
I don't
not
do true crime.
usually.
But I think,
And I was going to stay away from that and you started watching it.
yeah.
And then I was hearing other people saying it's actually really good.
It was such a good documentary. I
Yeah.
can't believe it.
It was brilliant.
And we were talking about it briefly on the Patreon, but maybe a bit more here. I, for some fucking reason, last night was looking up about Rose West in more detail, and they kept out so much stuff. But I respect it so much because the stuff that was on the Wikipedia page was hideous,
Like about abuse that she'd
like
done.
sexual abuse of children, and just really awful.
I think they were trying to...
So I'm glad they didn't sensationalize
Yeah.
their crimes.
Yeah, I think I really respected that because I was thinking about how this all happened in the 90s, the year I was born, quite soon before I was born.
Yeah.
And how like the tabloids must have been mental about Rose West because everybody always loves to focus on the woman involved in the crime anyway. And so they did it quite sensitively in that they kind of guided us through like, well, she was 15 when they met and, you know, he probably groomed her in these ways. But like by telling the story with little bits of evidence, it did basically let you arrive in your own way at like, oh my God, she's an absolute psychopath without it being like...
But even the episode that was called Rose, it was still mainly about Fred.
Yeah.
And his way of like...
Because it was never
hiding.
like just presenting you with she is a killer. It was like we can't say she is until we have Fred saying that she is.
And then Fred was dead.
Yeah,
Fred was dead.
I didn't know that he died then. I thought it was going to be years
neither.
later.
But then I had a guy at work who was saying that his mate's brother was in the prison at the same time and they all hanged him. And the officers turned a blind eye. Very interesting.
That's mad.
Because they said it was suicide or whatever.
Because like, you know, they would have hated him, but you're letting him off, really. You're letting him off having to be in prison. By killing him.
You're letting him off being in
And
prison
you're
and it's also just
hurting
letting
the
him off
victims.
like...
he didn't have to do the trial.
You know how I was saying about the psychologist or whoever he was and how I really liked him and his input into the documentary. I thought it was so cool when he was like, why would someone bury people in the garden? I would think it's because they've run out of space in the house. Do you remember when he said that?
Yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't have even thought of that.
But God knows, I mean, I'm sure like there must be so many people who are obsessed with this case and have linked like so many other unsolved disappearances.
Surely
But
there has to be so many
There
more.
has to be so many.
So many more because he only just kind of gave
He
up
just
that
kept
one by the tree.
coming out with
and
them,
then died. By suicide, allegedly.
So hectic.
How intense is it? Like their son, who was like,
Yeah.
in the last episode, and he was talking to the victims and stuff. I was like, what an amazing kid! Like,
Yeah.
I hope they're all okay. They won't be, but I hope they kind of can be a bit normal.
And the daughter testified. Well, the daughter told the police that he had abused her.
Is that how it all came out in the first place? Because
I don't mean about like it all came out because the kids were saying Heather's under the patio.
Well, when I was looking at the Wikipedia of it, I think it said that one of the children had said that their dad had abused them, and then I think they were all put into care, and then that's when they started saying about the patio thing. Anyway, whatever. But I loved that at the end, the kind of moral of the whole thing was like, listen to children and like what they have to say, because there's so much about that, isn't there? That's like, you know, kids have great imaginations, but it's like, these kids literally told everyone.
I mean, there could be a whole other documentary about how on earth they were allowed to just carry on with their lives after the girl got kidnapped and raped and escaped,
and they
told her they were going to kill her.
Fine.
So it could have all been stopped before they even killed anyone.
And then she said that she felt guilty because of that.
Oh, that is awful.
But then you're also like, okay, how many other people did it happen to then, even before her? She said that, I think I read this online, because I don't think they went into detail about this. They discussed, I think before, it was after they'd like kidnapped her, all of that stuff. They then said, we want to do this more with you. And she was like, yeah, sounds good. To be like, I need to pretend like I'm fine with
you
this.
You read about this?
So they don't kill me. And then apparently was like, I think it said like doing the hoovering around the house or something, and then managed to escape. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because she was living there initially.
Yeah.
And they asked her to join their sex ring. She said no.
Yeah.
She ran away. Then they saw her walking around.
So maybe I got those two things confused.
I don't know.
But
yeah, they didn't say in the documentary how she escaped. I was like,
no, exactly. How did she escape? But then they said, do you remember they were like, he realised at that moment that he couldn't let any of them ever escape again.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh God, am I going to have to go and read the Joseph Fritzl in Wikipedia again? That was too recent. As in, we too recently looked this up.
Yeah.
I don't want to look it up again. It's too fresh in my mind.
It's so scary.
I don't understand the 80s and the 90s as a time, because there's so much like drilled into our particular generation about like stranger danger, and like you don't go home from school with someone that you don't know. That's not what you do, and all of this kind of stuff. But I don't think that was a thing then,
because they were hitchhiking and stuff.
Everyone was hitchhiking, everyone was chill, and I was also like, they also loads of I think, I mean, I don't know because they're all dead, so you can't actually tell, but I'm like, one of them was pregnant by him. I'm like, was that person willingly having sex with this weird guy?
Well, you say willingly, but like, he very clearly, there was people living...
I said, she really, I don't know.
But even if it was willing, like the people that were living there...
Yes.
Had like run away or were from children's homes, or like they'd been chucked out by their parents.
Yeah, so there's
like they're vulnerable. Yeah. It was a cheap place to stay. Like,
and they seemed like a nice family from the outside.
Even if they don't, like if you're homeless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were preying on people who didn't have anywhere to go, had bad relationships with their parents, as Rose did.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
It's a cycle of, you can't be like, why would you...
Oh God, I'm not trying to victim blame either. Sorry.
No, I know you're not, but like, it's obviously hard if you don't have that sort of insecurity in your life to imagine why you would ever go into such a terrifying house.
Because all I can do is like think of, I guess what I'm doing is,
when you're a teenager, like,
I'm like, you think who's this man? He looks like actually like such a creepy freaky.
Yeah, but you're also a lesbian with a lovely wife. Like,
I know, but
and when you're a teenager, you do. I think of some things that I did when I was a teenager, and I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah,
just like. But it was all fine. But like, what if it wasn't fine? Because you just feel like you're invincible, and it's quite fun to be like, oh, that's a bit dangerous.
Your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed.
Yeah, so that's all.
So you can't see a
part of it as well.
Ahead of time, can you? You can't see like in the future.
Yeah,
you can't think in the future. You think of the now when you're a teenager, right?
Yeah,
I think that's like literally a brain development thing.
Oh,
is that you feel invincible because you don't think that far in the future, because your brain isn't developed to think that far in the future.
That makes sense.
Of the consequences.
I agree about the 80s and 90s. It is weird, but I think it must have been when the kind of panic began about stranger danger, but it hadn't filtered through to everybody yet.
Yeah.
Until we were young, because I've listened to a podcast about Jacob. Is it called Jacob Wetterling, maybe? It's
sure.
A kid who was murdered, a boy who was murdered in America in the 80s. And they were talking about that as very much starting off a kind of fear
Discourse.
because kids used to like cycle home from the video store in the dark and stuff,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you couldn't do that.
Well, I remember when we were kids, we had Madeleine McCann, which
Yeah.
was obviously massive, and then Holly and
Which was near you, wasn't
really
it?
near me. Yeah, I can't remember her name. Holly and someone else who were kidnapped by their caretaker of the school or something.
Yeah.
And I just remember the picture of them both in Manchester United shirts. Anyway, that was very present in my brain. So I guess like maybe, I don't know, but the 60s to like 90s were a weird time of like freedom
there was
in that way.
There were still serial killers at that time, but
when I was looking up, I think there was, we knew about a lot more. There was like, I was looking up about Myra Hindley, like the Moors murders, and that was in the 60s.
yeah,
That was fucking weird.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I didn't read too much into it because I thought I'd get depressed.
probably a good decision.
Yeah, but there we are. Always serial killers for some reason.
What do you mean always?
There's just always some serial killers knocking about.
Yeah,
So weird, guys. Get another hobby. Do some sketches. Way nicer.
so
More
weird.
satisfaction.
And
You'll get a nice picture at the end.
the petty crimes need to be taken more seriously, and people need to be put into like
When you say petty crimes, specify.
like
Because otherwise
Well,
it sounds like you think
this
people
wasn't-
who shoplift should go into prison.
the upskirting, as we know
Yes.
from what's her name, whose husband,
Giselle
yeah,
Pellico.
yeah,
Yeah.
flashing, all of these things. These serial killers have always been like
Doing things
arrested
like that.
for doing things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously you can't like lock someone up for everything, but if there's a crime that is seen as small and is related to sexual deviance, then they should be put into some sort of
which is
program,
why-
rehabilitation program where those things are targeted, because there's a clear link to these worst crimes every time.
Which is why misogyny should be seen as terrorism, but they won't do they won't put misogyny under terrorism as like a category, because it'd be too much to fucking have to deal with, because it's so deep and so entrenched. But misogyny is terrorism. It terrorizes half of the population.
Yeah.
Feminism. So that's on Netflix. If you want a bit of depression.
It was very, very well made, though.
Yes, super well made documentary.
Very interesting. We've started watching Sirens,
Yes.
so we will probably chat about that next time.
Yes.
If we've watched a bit more of it.
And the reunion.
And the
I Kissed a Boy.
reunion, yes. So we'll be back next week
Yep.
with a bit more telly chat.
Yes.
Love you.
I love you, darling.
Bye.